Right, this is Chapter 1, Lesson 7, Ratio and Rate Problems from California Math, your Common Core edition. This is for 6th grade. I make these videos for my daughter who's in homeschool, so I figured I'd share them with other people. So the intended audience here is parents of homeschoolers or kids in homeschool themselves, and you could watch these videos and hopefully be a nice supplement to the examples given in the book. So before starting this particular example, let me just remind you of two operations you could do to go from one fraction to an equivalent one. So here I just picked the fraction 6 over 20. One thing you could do to this fraction to obtain another equivalent one is divide both the numerator and denominator by the same number. Here I picked 2, and so I went from 6 over 20 to the equivalent fraction 3 over 10 by doing this operation. Another thing you could do to obtain an equivalent fraction is take your numerator and denominator and multiply them both by the same number. So here I just pick 4. So I multiply the top by 4 and the denominator by 4. We'll see examples of using both of these types of operations throughout this video. So let's go ahead and start the first example. We have 4 out of 7 people at a party that prefer chocolate ice cream over vanilla ice cream. The question then asks, if we know there's 42 people at this party, how many of those 42 prefer chocolate? So we can see a ratio sitting right in the first sentence, 4 out of 7. So 4 out of 7 people will prefer the chocolate ice cream over vanilla. So 4 is counting the number of preferences towards chocolate, and 7 is your population size. Now we know at our party we have 42 people, so we'd like to know, out of those 42 people, how many prefer chocolate ice cream. So it is important that our numerator here is counting preferences towards chocolate. So I want to replace this 4 over 7th with an equivalent fraction where my denominator is now 42. So I just think of the two possible operations I showed you in the beginning. How can I go from a 7 to a 42 by either multiplying or dividing? And here we want to multiply by 6. We want to multiply 7 by the number 6 to get 42. I have to do the same thing to the numerator if I want these two fractions to be equivalent. So I multiply 4 by 6, and I get 24. So at this particular party, 24 people prefer chocolate over vanilla ice cream. All right, so let's try a second example. This second example, I'm going to keep pretty much the same setup, except I'm going to make it a bigger party. So instead of 42 people at this party, let's have 112. Now this is a great time to pause the video and try it out. It is pretty similar to example 1, but there is one slight difference, and that's why I want to go through this second example. So our ratio of preferences towards chocolate out of the whole has not changed. 4 out of 7 still prefer chocolate. But now instead of having 42 people at the party, I have 112. So here's 112 down below. And I want to know, of those 112, how many prefer chocolate ice cream? So we do the same thing. I just have to think, what do I have to multiply 7 by to get 112? And that's maybe a little bit trickier. Maybe you don't see what you have to multiply 7 by to get 112. And that's all right. We just go off to the side and do a side calculation to determine that factor. What do I need to multiply 7 by to get my 112? So I'll divide 7 into 112. And so I'm entering a side calculation, so I'll set it off to the side. I'll divide my 7 into 112. 7 goes into 11 once. 11 minus 7 is 4, and I'll bring that 2 down. 7 then goes into 42 6 times. And it's okay if you're not as fast at doing this division. I've done many divisions, so that's no big deal. Also, sometimes we enter these side calculations and our attention goes from here to over here and say, oh, I got a 16. 16 must be my answer. No. We want to remember what we were doing this for. The 16 is what I need to multiply my 7 by to get 112. So that the 16 is not the answer. That was just one little step in the process. Since I multiplied my denominator by 16, I must multiply my numerator by 16 also. 4 times 16 is 64. And if you have to do that off to the side, that's completely fine as well. What we care about is getting the correct answer. So 64 people out of 112 prefer chocolate ice cream over vanilla at this particular party. All right, so let's start a second batch of examples. We'll have 2 more. And in this second group, we'll be doing something a little bit different. There'll be a different story. We'll have a character named Tim, and Tim is a hard worker and makes a certain dollar amount for every hour worked. So let me get the story on the board, that way in case you want to pause it and give it a shot before I run through the answer or the solution. So example 3, Tim makes $75 for every 6 hours worked. 6 hours of work. The question is, how much will he make if he works 10 hours? And it's one of these points that I can't stress enough, that to get better at math, you really need to try it out. So strongly recommend, pause the video, write some stuff down, just see how far you get. That's better than watching me do the problem. Even if you only make it a quarter of the way through, that's better than not trying at all. If you make it all the way through and make mistakes, that's still better than not trying at all, because you go back and you look, well, why did I make the mistake? And then you go and fix it. All right, so we know that Tim makes $75 for every 6 hours of work. So that's going to be our ratio here. $75 for every 6 hours of work. I want to know, how much will I make if I work, or how much will Tim make if he works 10 hours? So here 6 hours is in my denominator, so hours are my denominators, and dollar amounts are my numerators. So I correspond the 6 to a 10. And initially it might look like example 1 and 2. Oh, that's easy. I just figure out where I have to multiply 6 by to get 10. And that's where things become different. There's no whole number that I could take 6 by and multiply to get a 10. So I have to think a little bit more creatively. Right? Our goal is to figure out what's going on here. So this is where you need to rely on your practice and your strength in manipulating fractions to go from one fraction to another equivalent one. So I'm going to take this one here and look at it and see if I can't reduce it a little bit. 6 has factors of 2 and 3. 75 does not have a factor of 2 because 75 is not an even number, but it does have a factor of 3. So I can replace this with an equivalent fraction. So I'm going to kind of change my problem in some sense. I can replace this with an equivalent fraction where I divide both the numerator and denominator by 3. 75 divided by 3 is 25. 6 divided by 3 is 2. This fraction is completely equivalent to this one, so I've not changed the problem in any way. I've just rewritten my given ratio in a form that is hopefully more convenient. And now I look at it and ask myself, is it more convenient? And the answer here is yes, because now I'm kind of like in an example 1, example 2 type situation, where I think, oh, I can take this 2, multiply it by 5 to get my 10, and then I'll do the same thing above. So 2 times 5 is 10, and then 2 multiplied by 5 up top as well, 25 times 5. Once again, you may have to enter a side calculation, that's not a big deal, but 25 times 5 is 125. The conclusion is that if Tim works 10 hours, then he'll make $125. So that's our answer in this case. One final example I'd like to go through. Let's keep the same setup where Tim is again a hardworking person and just wants to know how much money he's going to make, if maybe he works a little more, a little less. We'll see what the story is this time. So this is the fourth and final example. So example 4. and we're going to change the rate at how much or how fast he makes money. So now Tim makes $50 for every 4 hours of work. The question is, how much will he make if he works 5 hours? Pause the video, try it. Okay, it starts the same. I know Tim makes $50 for every 4 hours. And I want to know, how much will I make, or Tim make, if he works 5 hours? So I find myself in a similar predicament where I can't really go from 4 to 5 by multiplying. So I'll try the same strategy as what I used in example 3. I'll maybe replace this fraction by an equivalent one that might be easier to deal with. So I have to think about common factors of 50 and 4. Both those numbers are even, so I can divide 50 by 2 and divide 4 by 2. That'll give me an equivalent fraction. So 50 divided by 2 is 25. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I'm still trying to figure out what this numerator should be on the right-hand side. Remember that numerator corresponds to how many dollars Tim will make if he works 5 hours. And I'm still kind of stuck because I can't take 2 and multiply it by a whole number to get 5. And there's no more reducing that I could do here. 25 and 2 don't have any common factors, so I can't really do what I did before. This is what I have. In these kind of cases, you're kind of forced into finding the unit rate. Actually finding out not what Tim makes, say, 4 hours or for every 2 hours, but how much money he makes for every 1 hour. And so what we need to do is take this fraction and figure out what it is in the sense of actually dividing the 2 into the 25. So what is this fraction actually equal to if I were to carry out this division? So we're finding the unit rate here. So we'll do a computation. 2 into 25. 2 goes into 2 once. And I'm confident I'm going to run out of room. So I think we're comfortable with Tim and how much he makes here. So let's give myself a little more room right here. So I just need to do some space to do this computation. So 2 into 25. So I'm moving that up top here. Right, so 2 goes into 2 once. Bring the 5 down. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. And I see that 2 doesn't go into 1, so I need to, if you remember from your long division, you need to add a decimal here, a decimal right above, and that allows me to bring down a 0. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And now I have a remainder of 0. Let me section this side calculation off so it's not visually distracting to us. What this computation tells us is that this number right here is equal to 12.5, which is the unit rate, meaning that Tim makes $12.5 for every 1 hour worked. Every 1 hour. So the difficulty definitely jumped up a bit when you can no longer go from one to another by simply dividing one fraction to an equivalent one, by simply dividing or multiplying. You may have to find the unit rate, which might take a little bit of time. So $12.5 for every 1 hour worked. Now the nice part is once you've computed this, you could really answer any question. Say, we want to know how much Tim makes if he works 5 hours. So we'll just take this 12.5 and multiply by 5. But even if we wanted to know 7 hours or 8 hours or 9 hours, we would just take the number of hours worked and multiply it by our unit rate. So there's good and bad. Once you know the unit rate, you kind of have the whole picture. But as we saw, it can be a little bit of a challenge to find the unit rate. But once we found the unit rate, we have it. Now we just need to multiply this unit rate by 5. And so we go ahead and do that. At this point, it might be easier to just do repeated addition, but depending on how comfortable you are with multiplying decimals, if you do repeated addition, you're just going to add this to itself 5 times, which would be a little bit, maybe a little time consuming. There's probably some clever things you could do there. I'll go ahead and do the multiplication on this side to determine how much Tim made for 5 hours of work. And so 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, and I add that little 2. 5 times 1 is 5, and I add that 1 there. The total number of decimal places I see here is 1, just this 1 decimal place right here. So my answer has 1 decimal place as well. So the end, for 5 hours of work, Tim will make $62.50, $62.50. So certainly more involved, but with enough time and patience and persistence, you can do it.